Well, if waking up between 3 and 4 in the morning isn't punishment enough here for some of us at breakfast, our team is going to run the 21-kilometre Auckland Marathon for the Heart Foundation.
Yes, our own aches and strains aside, we want to draw attention to the fact that each day 16 New Zealanders die from heart disease. Here to tell us more is Professor Rob Doughty from the Heart Foundation. Good morning to you, Professor.
Good morning.
Tell us a little bit about cardiovascular disease. That seems like a lot of people dying every day.
It is a lot. So cardiovascular disease is an extremely common and important problem in New Zealand. Cardiovascular disease, which encompasses heart disease, blood vessel disease and stroke, accounts for 40% of all of the deaths in New Zealand. So it's a very common problem.
Is it a problem that just affects older people or not?
Not at all, and that's probably one of the commonest misperceptions about heart disease, is that we think it's a problem of old people, but it affects people across our whole society and is preventable.
Just quickly, what are some of the types of warning signs that people look out for? Are there warning signs you can look out for?
There are warning signs for people who actually have early heart disease, and that's particularly symptoms. So chest discomfort, breathlessness are probably the commonest symptoms, but probably even more important than that is actually the underlying causes of heart disease and moving right back to prevention and considering those risk factors that contribute to us developing heart disease in our lifetime.
All right, I mean, you've got, obviously we're doing a big fundraising drive here in terms of the marathon, but what's the money being used for? I mean, what are the projects you're using that for?
Yep, so, I mean, I think that's a very, very important question always to ask in relation to fundraising. Where's it going? What's it being used for? And the Heart Foundation, I think, has a very proud and record of the use of its money. The Heart Foundation's been in existence for more than 40 years and currently provides about $2 million of funding for heart-related research each year. And about half of that actually contributes to investment in people. And I think that when we talk about research, it's not just projects and individual research projects, it's actually investment in people who will be working in healthcare in relation to heart disease in New Zealand. So it's a contribution to training and education for people.
Let's bring in the training aspect here, because you were involved in the Heart Foundation's Great Ride for Heart last year.
I was.
So you were putting your body on the line, and it makes sense to team up in a fundraising effort when we're focusing on our hearts to do some form of exercise. Any tips for Corin and Nadine, who are both participating in the marathon?
Probably my first tip is don't ride the length of New Zealand in 2 weeks. It's fairly hard work and a long way. Good luck to you. I think, you know, the tips that I would have is, I'm sure you've done all your training, and at this point in October you're done. So just remain injury-free and go out and enjoy it.
On that note, Nadine, you've suffered a little bit of an injury, haven't you?
I'm kind of hobbling around the office at the moment. I've just done something to sort of my hip or my glute or something, but I'm seeing a physio and just taking a week out of training and hoping for the best. I was worried about stopping training, but I'd rather stop for a few days and still be able to do it, because I'd hate to have bugged all those people for all that money.
Yes, well,
Nadine is at the moment our top fundraiser here at breakfast. And I just have to ask, when you signed up to do it, what were you thinking you'd get out of it, and what have you actually discovered along the journey so far?
I've discovered so much about my body. It's amazing. The pressures that running actually puts you... I know it's great for your heart, I think for your cardiovascular fitness, but it does put the rest of your body under a lot of pressure, so you really have to look after yourself along the way. I suppose I was just looking for a bit of a challenge, but I've actually found that I do quite like running, whereas I thought I was doing something I really didn't like, but just doing it, well, I don't know, just because.
Which I guess is a bit of a win-win situation for the Heart Foundation, because you've got people out there looking after their hearts, and they're also raising money at the same time for the work that's so important for New Zealanders.
Absolutely, and you know, tribute to all of you who are doing this as heart racers. I think it's really a fantastic cause, but also individually you're getting involved in exercise, and that's a benefit to you, and that rolls on to you and your family and our children. So I think we need to think about physical activity for children and you know, the impact that has during their lifetime. So it's a huge win for everybody.
Great stuff. Professor Rob Doughty, thank you very much, from the Heart Foundation. And remember, people can go to our Facebook page to sponsor and all that sort of stuff.
They can indeed get on there. I'm going to do it after the show today, because our poor executive producer's got about $2 sponsorship, so I'm going to put a 20 in for him.
You know what I've learned?
What have you learned?
I just can't run as fast as I used to be able to run.
Aww. But at least you're not hobbling at the moment. Stay injury-free.
No.
Now, up next, remember these guys?